So I hope that everyone is having a fantastic Friday. I know that I am, and I'm so excited that you are here to join me today for our next STEM program. I always like to start the program by just saying that we're learning together here. And normally our experiments go great and perfect. But just remember that the point of this program is not for it to go perfect, it's for us to learn together. So if something would go wrong, just remember that you would have to supply those materials again. But don't feel bad about it if something would go wrong. As you can see, I'm a fan of air quotes. But anyhow, today we are going to be doing an animal balloon reaction STEM. This one is a lot of fun and I'm very excited to try it with you guys. It is one that we have not done before or one that we did a very long time ago. So for most of us, this would be new, but it's a lot of fun. And it involves science, which is also amazing, right? So I will say that this is, it can be a messier STEM. It is a chemical reaction. So for that reason, I always like to say that wet wipes or paper towels on hand would be a good idea. But back to the fun, right? So first, what I'd like us to do before we even get started is I want us to go through our kit here, and I want us to pull out only the ingredients that we need for this project. So one of those things is a funnel. I have this plastic funnel here. If you have one of these at home, this is going to be helpful to you in this experiment. But if you don't have one, you could take a piece of paper like this and use some Scotch tape, and you could roll one yourself. You can roll to make your own, and then you would just place a piece of tape here to secure it. A marker, which if you have one of those at home, that would be great, but you don't absolutely need it to do this STEM experiment. It's just to add the A for the steam. First thing that you're going to need is a bottle like this. So it's just a water bottle. You do not need this on here, so if you'd want to take it off, you can. Next, you're going to look down in here. You should be able to find a container of vinegar. Okay, so you want to pull that out. Make sure the lid's on there tight until we go to use it. Next, you're going to be looking for a baggie that has baking soda in it. There it is. It's a balloon. All right, let's see. I think, let me just double check my list here. A clamp, like I said, either a chip clip or anything like that. So we can move on to our first step. So the first thing, and this is the thing that I'm not going to do today because I'm wearing the mask here. I want you to blow up your balloon, okay? You might need help from an adult because like me, for whatever reason, I have such a hard time blowing up balloons. I don't know if it's lung capacity or what. So you want to blow up your balloon. And once you've blown it up to a considerable amount that it's not going to pop, you want to clamp the end, okay, with either, like I said, a chip clip or a wooden clamp or anything that's going to keep it shut for you. That way, so the air does not escape. So you blow those balloons up as much as you can without them popping, okay? One thing, if you're at home and you're having trouble, one thing you can kind of do to make it easier to blow up the balloon is you can kind of stretch out the opening here with your fingers. Sometimes that makes it a little easier. And we do want the opening to kind of be a little bit elastic because later we're gonna have to quickly put it over a water bottle and hopefully seal it over the top. One other thing I like to do too is kind of stretch the balloon out just a little bit. So this is the steam part of the program. Just pretend that my balloon is blown up, okay, friends? So your balloon is blown up and it's held so that the air cannot escape. Now, don't worry if it actually does, it's okay, we can blow it up again. And we are actually going to eventually let that air out anyway. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take your marker and very carefully, I'd like you to draw your favorite animal on your balloon. So just like on our instruction sheets here, see how the animal faces are drawn onto the balloons? That's what I'd like you to do. It just makes this more fun. So you can draw any animal that you want. You can draw a cat or a dog or a sloth or a kangaroo, anything that has a tail. That would be great. So while you guys are drawing, I'll just explain to you what we're kind of learning in our STEM program here today. We're learning two things today. We're learning about the importance of the scientific process, which I think is very, very important, and then also about constants and variables if we were doing 3 bottles. But we're still learning about that just through the one as well. All right, the next thing that I want you to do is I want you to let the air out of your balloon. I want you to take the clamp off and I want you to let the air out. So the next thing that I want us to do here is I mentioned the constant, right? And the variable, okay? That's the next two things that we're gonna do. So the cool thing is when we go to do our experiment, and like I said, fingers crossed that it works as we think it should, we are gonna have a chemical reaction that takes place between the vinegar and the baking soda. And what it should do, and I'm not sure on what scale yet, but it should make our balloon go from this to how it was with the air inside of it, where it gets bigger, but it should go all on its own due to the chemical reaction and the carbon dioxide from that reaction rising into the balloon. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to take our water bottle, okay? I want you to take your funnel, or if you don't have a funnel, like I said, your paper funnel would work. You just want to make sure that the hole in the bottom of the funnel is smaller than the hole of your water bottle here, okay? So we're going to take our cap off so that you can actually get into the water bottle. And you're going to take your funnel, take the smaller part of the bottom and put it inside your water bottle like this. So when we pour our vinegar in, it all goes into the bottle, okay? So I'm going to set this here for now. I'm going to take my vinegar and take the lid off. Now, vinegar has a funny smell to it sometimes, so just bear with us on that. But you want to make sure that you hold, or you get help from an adult to hold your funnel tight to your bottle so that it doesn't wiggle woggle all over when you're pouring the vinegar in, okay? And we're going to pour all of our vinegar in, and it actually should be a 4th cup. So if you have measuring cups at home and you wanted to measure, which is very important in science, I already have a pre-measured 4th cup right here, so I don't have to measure it. But if you wanted to make sure, as you should as a scientist, if you wanted to make sure that you didn't have too much vinegar, you could always measure it to make sure that it's a 4th cup. Okay, so if you know that you have a 4th cup for sure, you're going to pour your vinegar into your funnel and into your water bottle. Remember to hold tightly. All right, make sure you get every drop of that 4th cup, just because it's good not to waste. All right, and once you're done with that, you can tap your funnel like this, just so you get all the excess vinegar out of there. And if you have a paper towel, you might want to blot the bottom of your funnel. And you can return your lid on top of your container. Just like that. All right. So right now we have all our vinegar in the bottom of our water bottle, but remember, it's not water. You don't want to drink that. Okay. Next thing that we need to do is prepare our balloon. Now, this is the trickiest part of the whole thing. So we are going to be putting our baking soda into our balloon, okay? But we don't want the baking soda to hit the vinegar until we're absolutely ready. If it happens, it happens, but it's more fun to see it kind of happen if it's hitting it all at the same time. So what we're going to end up doing is we want to use a funnel to add our amount of baking soda, which let me just double check here. We have it that should be half a tablespoon of baking soda. Okay, so you're going to want to use your funnel, and you might need help from an adult here as well, just because it's kind of tricky to pour and hold at the same time. You're going to insert your funnel into your balloon, and you want to make sure that your balloon is hanging down so that all the baking soda can fall into the bottom. So let's do that together, okay? You want to make sure that you do have a half tablespoon of your baking soda available here. So if you're like me, you're going to cut just a corner off of your baggie here, because we're not going to need it after this anyhow. And then make sure, just like we held our funnel firmly inside our water bottle, we're going to hold the balloon and funnel together tightly so that it makes sure it goes into the bag. For me, I'm going to just very carefully flip this over and start dumping. You can see my funnel got darker because I'm pouring in all the baking soda into the inside. And it's like magic because now my bag is empty, right? So you'll notice here that I have it pinched pretty tight, so it's not going into the balloon yet. So I have to raise up my funnel and hold my balloon here and kind of just shake it into the bag, well, into the balloon as much as I can and tap it. Depending if you're using the same funnel as before, it might be a little wet still with the vinegar and might be giving you a hard time. So just try your best here. All right, so if you're like me and it was giving you trouble, you can use a pencil or something to pierce the bottom. So then that way you are getting your baking soda down in there. But that's why I say science is kind of fun too, because it doesn't always work out like you think it's going to right away, and that's okay. It's how we handle things that's important, not how they go. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we got our baking soda in here, right? We've drawn our face or our animal face, which is really cool. The important part, like I said, is I got most of the baking soda in, in the balloon. Not all of it, but most of it. So what should happen, as you just saw, some things don't always go as you plan, right? Even when you practice. So what should happen is we should be able to open our balloon lip up, okay? We're gonna stretch it over top of our water bottle lip. And then once we've done that, only at that time do we want to pour the baking soda into the vinegar in the bottom of the bottle. Okay. At that time, we're going to flip the balloon up and shake it into the vinegar, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I will say sometimes it's a smaller reaction, and just like it kind of was sticking kind of funny in here. Sometimes it doesn't work exactly like it's supposed to. That's okay. So let's just try this. I want you to very carefully, if you can have someone hold the bottle, you can stretch the balloon over top of your water bottle. All right, so we're at the final part, okay? We've got our bottle with our vinegar, we've got our balloon with our baking soda. But let's go ahead. We're gonna flip over our balloon and we're gonna shake it into the vinegar, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Flip it over into the vinegar. Look, friends, hopefully this is happening for you. And hopefully this balloon stays on. Do you see all the bubbling occurring in the vinegar here? Okay. Hopefully everyone is seeing the same reaction. Hopefully you're seeing a very cool animal face as well. There's lots of fizzing. Can you hear all the fizzing happening? Lots of it. That means that there's a chemical reaction happening right now. Can you see all the bubbles? Look at our balloon, okay? So at this time, we just had a chemical reaction happen in the vinegar with the baking soda, which was our constant, which was our vinegar, and our variable, which was our baking soda amount, okay? And when it had the reaction, which is starting to slow down now, the carbon dioxide rose up to the top of the bottle, okay? It rose all the way up and it went into the balloon, which is causing the balloon to inflate. Which is pretty cool. Still kind of sizzling. I think it's hitting more of the baking soda now. And I didn't have all of the baking soda in my bottle because I spilled some of it. So yours might go longer or get bigger than my balloon did. All right. So we can conclude as scientists that our experiment was a success. So here's kind of the cool part, right? We talked about what happened. So in this experiment, as I mentioned, I think just for myself that the variable, which was my baking soda, might still have impacted my experiment because I think maybe if I had that extra baking soda in there, my balloon might have gotten a little bigger. All right, so I hope that you guys had fun with this experiment. As I mentioned earlier, a fun thing you could always do is now that you know that this only takes a couple simple ingredients, you could always replicate the experiment, but do 3 bottles instead of 1. But this time you could try, having different amounts of baking soda, but keeping the same amount of vinegar. So all 3 bottles could have the same amount, the 4th cup of vinegar, but all the different bottles would have different amounts of baking soda. And it would be great to see if the balloon gets really big with a bigger amount of baking soda, or if the balloon is smaller because of a less amount. But either way, I hope that you guys had fun. I'm so glad that you tried something new.